from home. It's not your neck. I don't know. Scabbers, you okay? The car! Clearly someone doesn't want me here this year.
Well, take a good look, lads. This night might well be the last you spend in this castle. Oh dear, we are in trouble.
You were seen by no less than 7 muggles. Do you have any idea how serious this is? You have risked the exposure of our world. Not to mention the damage you inflicted on a Whomping Willow that's been on these grounds since before you were born.
Honestly, Professor Snape, I think it did more damage to us.
Silence! I assure you that were you in Slytherin and your fate rested with me, the both of you would be on the train home tonight.
Hey there, LEGO fans and Potterheads. I'm the lawyer in the LEGO Shed, and this is the 24th in a series of videos that I'll be making as I build my way through the magical world of LEGO Harry Potter. I've been collecting the Harry Potter LEGO line since it began back in 2001 with the release of the very first movie, and for this video series, I'll be building sets that have been part of the more recent waves of Harry Potter LEGO, beginning in 2018 and stopping with the 2023 releases. My plan is to go in movie order, and so without further ado, let's get started. Today we're covering our very first set based upon Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, set number 75953. And this one's called the Hogwarts Whomping Willow. This was released in 2018, and the set has a total of 753 pieces and 6 minifigures. There are 3 main components to the build. The first is the Whomping Willow. The second is the Weasley's Flying Forward Anglia car and the castle component that extends onto Hogwarts. This is actually the first time that the Whomping Willow has been depicted in LEGO form. It has popped up a few times over the course of those 2 different waves, though. It's present in 71043, which is the large micro-scale Hogwarts. This one was also released in 2018. The Willow also popped up again in a minifig scale sense in 2022 with 76407. We'll actually be covering the set later in the series, so I will save any comments on that set for this or for that video. And it also made an appearance in the 2022 Advent calendar and in set 76419. It's actually a little mini build in that one. The Ford Anglia itself has actually made several appearances as well. The first time was in 4728 in 2002. That's its very first appearance. Then it pops up again in 4841 in 2010, and that one's part of the reboot that they did at the very tail end of the Harry Potter movies being released. That one actually came with the Hogwarts Express. And then there was 75968. That was in 2020. We've actually already covered that set, and I think it's right behind me there. So the Anglia is there in that one. And then in 2024, it makes an appearance again in this new wave. So this is a very popular item to do. Much like the Hogwarts Express is. They love doing this little car. Each time the Willow actually appeared as a small build, so did the Anglia. So it appeared in addition to those minifig scale versions, it popped up again in 71043, in 76404, and in 76419, each time as a little mini, basically attachment onto the Whomping Willow. So let's kind of walk through each of the components here. We will start first with the Willow itself. And, definitely an interesting kind of piece here. It's got, these kind of like odd little branches and the little kind of like tendrily pieces that are coming off of it. That component actually ends up feeling, I think, fairly successful for the size that we're doing here. And then we have this nice little play feature that if you twist, you can then move the pieces. The twisting is not necessarily a motion that is really readily a part of this particular tree, but it is definitely a welcome thing that we had at least some component of movement there. So it has a lot of components that are kind of like interesting in the sense that it's got a sticker that gives it some texture. We also have some brick-built elements there. We'll talk a little bit more about kind of my disappointment with this, but I figured it was worth showing that, it's got all these articulating arms that then you can kind of fold up and everything. Next, let's talk about the Anglia itself. Lots of different versions of this car. This is one that actually ends up being one of my favorites, at least in the sense of how they were able to accomplish little things, like getting the right angles on the car itself, the windscreen and everything that you can kind of see there. Ultimately, I think it's a pretty successful model, and it does comfortably fit both Harry and Ron being in there. It is a little interesting as far as how it's structured. You have some challenges with getting certain pieces and components in there, but you do have a nice little trunk that is functional, which is great, and you can put their little suitcases in there, which is super fun. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting piece and component to have, and for the set itself, I think it's pretty successful. So let's move on to the castle portion itself. So this appears to depict one side of the quadrangle, and I'll throw a picture up here so that we can kind of get some frames of reference here. That's based on this nice big archway that we have here, the kind of shorter tower, and where it's ultimately placed in the official images for how you're supposed to line up the whole castle here. So that's at least what it looks like from the exterior. As far as the interior is concerned, we have Snape's office right here, I think. Yep, the Snape's office is right here. We can even see the paper there that they're checking out and that Snape confronts them with when they get brought in. Then we have the potions classroom over here, these two little areas here, and then the Gryffindor boys' dormitories. So kind of interesting combination of things that are being depicted. This is actually the first time we ever get Snape's office depicted. But as folks who have been following along, we actually already have a depiction of the boys' dormitories, and we have a depiction of the classroom, Snape's classroom already. So definitely a great kind of little layout here, and altogether the set definitely feels great in the sense that you've been able to not only expand your castle, but you've got this great kind of like standalone feature of the Whomping Willow with the car. So in total, the set feels pretty robust. What I loved was seeing a set that featured the Whomping Willow at all. The tree is an essential part of the Harry Potter universe, and it's been conspicuously absent in the line until now. I also really loved the emphasis here on creating a good representation of the exterior of the castle. So this is just yet another component that's kind of bridging us to the next section over off to the side on the other side of the aqueduct, or the viaduct, that's going to have the big astronomy tower. So it was nice to kind of have us moving toward actually getting a good full edifice of the castle itself. I also loved that the component parts of this can be moved around. So you can actually separate these little sections here and reorganize it however you like, which is, I think, something that was a very good component to have here. And then we definitely see echoed very heavily in the modular castle that comes later. And then, of course, I really did love the choice of scene that they incorporated into the model. We have kind of all of the great little moments here of the actual confrontation in Snape's office. We have the classroom itself, which I think is fun. And then it's nice to have a Gryffindor call out as well. Things that I didn't love is that the architecture is not consistent with how this portion of the castle is constructed. So, the way that this is set up is that this main tower should actually be further down, and this little guy should move to the side. At the end of this video, I'll show kind of what it should look like in context. But fortunately, you can move the things around so that you can then lay it out that way. So that gripe is definitely not as big. The interior also was inconsistent with what actually would be in this part of the castle. So particularly the Gryffindor dorms would not be in this tower. That particular tower is one that has been established not only from external shots, but other things that we have within the layout of the actual tower and how it looks. That wouldn't be the Gryffindor tower. It's actually further back towards the hospital wing. It is one of the 4 towers that are part of the quadrangle, but it's not this one. Also, we know that the dungeons are the home of the classroom for Snape and for his office, so it was odd to see them pop up here in kind of the main part of the castle. So kind of an odd choice there to put Snape's classroom in this area and not down in the dungeons, but I'm definitely willing to forgive that particular shortcoming because the scene itself was interesting. It was specifically related to Chamber of Secrets, and it was nice to get that represented here. As far as the other kind of big disappointment I would say I had was, I think it's this tree. The Whomping Willow, while I'm glad it's getting represented, I do think that we could have seen a little bit more here. It's small. I think it lacks some kind of interesting details and some movie accuracy, to be honest. The play feature is a good choice, but it would have been nice to see something more on the level of 79002. This is out of the Lord of the Rings line, actually, this nice big robust brick-built tree. Another option would have been a similar tree out of 70420. This was from the Hidden Side line. Again, we kind of have a more interesting build, something a little bit more even organic looking coming on. If we could have even gone with the styling that we did for the botanical line for the bonsai tree, that was set number 10281. Then there was the avatar tree that they did that was 75574. There's just lots of options, I think, that they had for building a really interesting tree. And this one, I think, was a little unfortunate and feels a little strange, especially with that kind of thick, piecing that they did here in the middle to make it feel that way. To feel a little like light and cheap. One thing I will call out, though, I do love that we had a little place for our folks to go, which is directly relevant for our Prisoner of Azkaban stuff that we'll get into later on. So that piece was definitely pretty fun. Okay, let's move on to our minifigs then. We have a total of 6 here. Snape and Hermione we've actually seen before, and I have reviewed before. So I'll just show a quick pic of them here. I think we saw both these characters in the Quidditch match, and therefore I'm not going to go over them too in depth. Harry and Ron as well, we've actually already covered. They're the same ones that are present in Privet Drive when we covered that set, and they are the same two that we had present in the dorms that are the Gryffindor dorms for the castle that was the 2021 to 2023 wave. What I want to call out, though, is this is literally exactly what they're wearing in the scene. So that piece is finally correct. We finally have the right clothing for these moments with these two. I've already griped in both those other instances that this is not accurate, but here we have them wearing exactly what they're supposed to. I think it looks great and is pretty fun. The minifig that I think is definitely the most interesting is Argus Filch here. This is the first time since 2010 that we had gotten an Argus Filch minifig, and his hairpiece and expression and printing on the torso and on his legs all just look really excellent. I think this is a really fantastic minifigure and great depiction of him. So a really great asset there. Definitely a more movie accurate version than the one from 2010, which I'll drop a picture in here so that you can kind of see the comparison. And last, we have a rather odd inclusion of Seamus Finnegan, who, you know, is not only not in this scene, it's kind of odd that he's here in this particular wave. I think this is his first and only appearance in the 2018 to 2020 wave, so maybe that's kind of why they just crammed him in here. But he's not in this scene, and really neither is Hermione for that matter, so it is kind of interesting that they had them. I will call out what I would say is an odd omission was Mrs. Norris, Argus Filch's devoted cat. It was interesting to not have her here and represented. It would have been a great inclusion to kind of just round out this set with Filch being present. So overall impression is that I feel like this was an excellent continuation of the main castle out of the 2018 to 2020 wave. It's so fun to finally get to expand part of the castle. We've gone through so many sets so far, and it's finally moving forward. And I do think it looks pretty good. The Whomping Willow anyway, I think it looks pretty good when we actually put the Anglia in it. It does definitely have that kind of more full feeling and will look great next to the castle. So one thing that came to my mind, though, is it might be good to have a good progress shot of how the castle looks with this piece as well as the Great Hall section that we've already done. So now, with the magic of editing, I am going to go ahead and we're going to cut here and reappear with the 2018 castle as it currently stands. Okay, so as you can see, I have things configured on 75953 so that they're more accurate with the movie. So I've moved that tower over. We've got the archway then next, and then the kind of shorter little tower here, and then it connects directly to the main central tower. That way, I think it looks a little bit more accurate to the movie. I'll throw in a quick picture here as well, just so you have that frame of reference. I think the castle's coming along really nicely, and I'm a little surprised at how long it is already. In fact, I think for this next video, the moment we add one more set, I won't be able to sit in this configuration. We're definitely going to have to change things up. I did have to make one slight adjustment that we'll see if we even have enough space to flip around here. But the orientation on the staircase had to be adjusted in order to accommodate this. It does kind of feel a little crowded now that the staircase goes right into the potions classroom, but there really wasn't a logical way to do it. So, you know, here's where we are. But yeah, that is it for 75953. If you are interested in following along on this journey, please feel free to follow the account. And if there's anything else that you think that I should be covering in these reviews, go ahead and drop a comment and let me know. Thanks for watching, and have an awesome day.